Hello. So I started to wonder what really allowed me to see the abuse that I was going on, or I was under, and how did I start to evolve from it and handle it. And if I was to advise someone what to do when in a narcissistic relationship, and maybe the rough outline of how to deal with it. Um, or at least what worked for me. It's what worked for me. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a life coach. I'm not any of that. I'm just giving you my opinion on what worked for me. Um, First things first was gathering information, and by gathering information, I mean endlessly gathering information. If you're having that feeling that something is fucking wrong, something's terribly goddamn wrong. If I recall correctly, the first Google search I did is something like, before I even knew about narcissistic personality disorder, borderline personality, codependency, before I even knew about any of that, I just had that fucking feeling like something was wrong. And I think the first Google search I did was something along the lines of like, my girlfriend treats me like shit, or why doesn't my girlfriend love me? Um, that's where it started. And then, by happenstance, ran into several articles, one of them which described narcissistic personality disorder. And I was like, holy fuck. And then it snowballed rapidly. I spent endless hours, endless nights, up late, tired as fuck at work the next day because I had been just reading articles and watching videos on YouTube and just researching, trying to figure out what this was. That was the first step. Just knowing that something was wrong. Just knowing something was terribly, terribly wrong. Just listen to my gut. Um, After that, it became, and this was what I shouldn't have done, but I did. It became a testing ground for me. Is she really like this? Is this really what it is? So I would apply things that I learned to situations and gauge the reaction, see what was going on, and so on and so forth. Um, then things started to click. They started to make sense. It's like, yeah, this is definitely how she's reacting. I'm definitely being gaslit and triangulated and stonewalled and hoovered and every goddamn thing possible that a narcissist does. It was 100% accurate. Um, and one of the things that drew me in and made it so hard for me to go or move on is I was never able to dial in on the things that she would do. Um, when she would ghost me or give me the silent treatment, she'd come back a week later and be like, well, I was just really upset and I spent the whole week at home, watching TV and movies. And, I was ignorant. I fucking believed it. So one of the things that helped me next was to just really start playing detective on that. I fucking hated playing detective. It was just awful. But, as it turns out, it was unquestionable that every single time that happened, that was not the case. I would start perusing Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and see her name pop up, and then I would dig a little bit deeper, and sure as shit, she'd have like pictures of her like kissing this other guy or on his car, bent over, like and stuff like that. And it was blatantly obvious that all the excuses, all the stories were lies. The working late, the I can't come overnight, my mom, blah blah blah, or this, that, and the other, and it became obvious that it was always all fucking ways another guy involved. It's her new target, her new source of supply, or one of her harem members that were in the background. It seemed to her that it didn't matter who the fuck it was as long as it was somebody. Um, that was probably the most painful part. Just knowing that you literally, or just that sudden realization, that first realization that indeed you did not matter to this individual at all. She could say she loved you the next day, and the next day, I'm saying she say she loves you one day, and the next day she would drop you and be bending over the hood of some guy's car showing her fucking pussy to everybody. No qualms, no morality issues whatsoever. She didn't fucking care at all. That was the next step. And I dove into further research. Once I started to really understand what narcissistic personality was, I really got into, okay, so why was I involved in this? And I started to research codependency. Why am I allowing this to happen? And that's still a very hard question to answer. You eventually get to the realization it's from your childhood and what you're classically trained to do since birth, but you had to look a lot inward, and that went on for a long time, a real long time. I was still like on and off with her. I still couldn't break loose of her. I still couldn't just put an end to it. I knew that she was toxic. I knew that I was getting cheated on. I knew that I was being lied to my face, but I just, for whatever, just could not end it. I could not, just let go of it. And here's the real kicker with me, and I don't know if this is just me. Maybe it's other people too. If you have the feeling that maybe that this is for you too, by all means investigate, figure it out. One of the best things for me was I started, researching, just because I was on this learning curve and I was loving every bit of it. Started researching, certain spirituality things and meditation and actualizing things and just all sorts of, spiritual, mental realms. One of the things was just mindfulness meditation. And it was hard at first. It was terribly hard. But it became pretty cool and it relaxed me a lot. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to keep doing this. And then I will not lie to you, it really opened the avenues to getting in touch with myself. Like, when this individual would leave me or discard me or degrade me in whatever way that she could, previous to meditation was like, I knew I was fucking pissed. I knew something hurt. I knew it hurt. Undoubtedly, something fucking hurt, but I didn't know what hurt. I thought it was, I hurt because she's with another guy. That was as simple as it was. That's just fucked up and morally wrong. But after meditation, I was able to really, for a while meditation, I was able to dial in exactly what was actually upsetting me, what specifically was upsetting me. So when all that behavior continued, I would be able to say, oh, she's with another guy and I'm just fucking angry. I could go a little bit deeper. I was never able to put a finger on why I felt the way I felt until I kind of got into meditation. And I could successfully say, hey, this is because this is overly simplistic, but hopefully it'll give a good enough example. Rather than saying I'm pissed that she cheated on me, it'd be like, well, this is triggering a childhood scar. On top of that, why is it triggering a scar? And how is it really making me feel? And I always had this nagging question of why can't I get over her? Why can't I get over her? I know she's poison. I know she's toxic. I know I'm being cheated on. Why can't I get over her? And because of meditation, mindfulness meditation, because of being able to finally put my finger on why I felt the way I for my whole life, I've never known why I felt the way I felt. Now I can say I feel this way because of this. And I was able to say, when I would start to miss her, or when I would get angry, or she would treat me in a certain manner and trigger me, it boiled down to a lot of things. But one of the three primary of why I could never end it is because every time I ended it, I would be like, God, this fucking bitch is crazy. She's toxic. And I would end it. And then, like, 2 days later, I'd be, like, missing her like hell and act like a fucking idiot and try to go no contact. And it was just a mess. But then eventually, after meditation, where I was really able to get in touch with myself, I was able to point it out. I was like, I miss her because I'm just lonely. One reason was that I was just straight up lonely, and I was putting up with her behavior just because I didn't want to be alone. Number two, um, the attention. When she left, I no longer had somebody like constantly harassing me, constantly feeding into me, uh, which also was a part of boredom. I realized I was just bored. If she wasn't there, fucking throwing all this shit around and making a shitstorm, I didn't really have much to do, or I felt bored, you know. And then the three, and an obvious reason was a lot of times I'd miss her. I was just fucking horny, just wanted to get laid. I'm sorry, sad but true. But the interesting, I mean, if I had never started doing meditation and being able to really, really just, you know, this is what I feel and know what I felt, I would have never realized that. I never realized I was hanging on to her because I was bored. I knew sex was a big part of it. I knew that for sure. But just being able to sit there and go, yeah, I don't miss her. I don't miss the abuse. I miss it because I'm lonely, bored, and horny. Um, which is, wow, that makes me sound really good. I'll put that on my dating website. But it's true. It's true. And I was never able to dial in on that. I remember the first few times that she had outrageous behavior and I'd break up with her. And the next day I would just be in just nagging pain of like, oh, this doesn't feel right. Something's wrong. Oh my God, I made a terrible choice. And then, of course, we get back together. But back then, I didn't know that I was just fucking lonely and bored and stuff. It was just like, I didn't know that she was triggering childhood wounds. I had no idea. No idea at all. And it's all an evolving process. For me now, it's been what, fucking 3 years of learning and growing from this, and I still catch myself missing her and stuff like that, and tempted to make contact sometimes. But then I go, yeah, maybe I'm just lonely. Maybe I'm bored. Maybe I need to go watch some porn. Uh, you really gotta. If I had never been able to get really, really in touch with myself and why I was feeling the way I had, it would have been. I don't think I ever would have got over it. So that's my suggestion to you guys, girls, whoever you may be. Um, I wish I had got into meditation sooner because it really, really, after some time, allowed me to, strangely, I don't even know how, but it really was able to let me dial in on um, just when something happened, why I was feeling that way, rather than being kind of just confused and reactive to it. So again, that was mindfulness meditation that I was doing. I still do when I get upset, and it's beautiful. It's soothing, and if you can't sleep at night, you do it for a while, you'll be able to sleep again. It's fucking phenomenal. Um, try it out. See if it works for you. It's just my suggestion. Like I said, I'm not a fucking professional. I'm not a genius by any means. But I've been through the shitstorm, and I know if I can do anything or any suggestion to make your shitstorm less, I will gladly, lend some advice. Good night.